Um, yeah, your story is well documented. We talk about your journey as a young boy, having a rough upbringing. So tell us about your story a little bit briefly and how you go into MMA. So before MMA, when you
Yeah.
went to wrestling, competed at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and then switching to MMA.
Okay, cool. So yeah, basically, I was born in Lesotho. It's a country actually within South Africa, within the South African borders. It's
Okay.
used The borders are used as mountains. And from then, I never knew my mother. I never knew my father, and so I had to move from Lesotho with my aunt. And yeah, I ended up living in an orphanage from around the age of 5, as far as I remember. And from then, I decided to actually join wrestling while I was in the orphanage. And I actually found a passion. It was one of my favorite things to do, it kept me from being naughty, it was actually
Yeah.
a blessing in disguise for me. And one of the tournament, my previous wrestling coach, who is a Russian coach now, or who was the Russian coach, he actually wanted to adopt me at first because he realized my talent of wrestling. And yeah, from then he actually got parents to look after me, to adopt
Okay.
me. And, they after a few years, he decided to move back to Russia. And so my wrestling, I didn't carry on so far with my wrestling, but I was able to do the Commonwealth Games. And yeah, and then I came fourth with the Commonwealth Games,
Yeah.
and I still wanted to pursue my wrestling career. But it's actually, as you know, in South Africa or in Africa in general, it's
Yes.
very hard to make a living out of wrestling or mostly Olympic sports.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I decided to try teaching actually. I was an intern for a year and I
Wow.
decided I'm actually,
Was it physical education, sports, right? You're teaching sports or
yeah. So, no. So it was actually, I was helping with the rugby teams, with their
oh,
fitness and everything.
okay.
But then I also wanted to become a art teacher. So I started working as an intern for technology and uh, educational technology. So I wanted to switch on into art, but I decided, look, I still have a passion for fighting. I really still love it. So, in that case, the closest thing from wrestling was mixed martial art.
Yes.
And I told my dad, look, my adopted dad, look, I really want to try this out.
Okay.
I still have the fire in me to do it. And he said, look, it's a tough decision that I'm doing, but he said he had my support. He said whatever I choose in life, I must just do it properly. And then that's when I transitioned into mixed martial arts, and I had my 6 fights within a year or so, and then
Wow.
from then, yes,
Amateur fight,
yes,
right?
six,
Amateur
six
MC,
amateur
yeah.
fights,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Okay.
And then from then, I switched straight into pro. And since then, I've been fighting, basically, I've not been defeated, which is good. Now I'm 8-0 as a
No, yes.
pro mixed martial artist fighter. Yeah. And now my next thing, I'm fighting the number 2 contender, which is the title
Correct.
eliminator
Yes.
fight.
Brooks
And the winner basically gets to fight the champion,
champion.
one championship, basically. Yeah. And
Awesome,
so that's
awesome, awesome
basically
story.
my journey. Yeah.
Yes, a rough
Exactly.
one, but we thank God for
Yeah.
everything. You're here today. I would say you are an inspiration to a lot of people back home in South Africa and also the whole of Africa as well. I read somewhere where you said you got your nickname from your school teacher, Little Giant.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and he was talking
Yes,
about
that's
writing a
right.
book about your story. So
Yes.
walk us
And
through that a
so,
little bit.
yeah, so basically, um, this is my high school teacher. And after I got adopted, I moved to Pretoria in South Africa, where um, I moved into a new school. And so the school that I was in previously had no sports or anything like that. So in my new school, I went to one of the camps and then I wrestled. Oh, the teacher knew actually that I wrestled,
Okay.
but some of the students didn't know, which were I was still grade 9 back then, and those were the matric boys, grade 12 boys. And he told any of those boys if they can take me down. I don't remember what he promised them, but he
Okay.
told them that you can never take this guy down. This guy will take you down. You know? And I was obviously the smallest guy in not just in the school, yeah, not just in class, but in the whole school. You know,
Wow.
and yeah, so I wrestled with a few of those guys, and they just couldn't believe it. Like, oh, you're so little, and you're throwing us around. And there's one of the guys, yeah, one of the guys couldn't even believe it. So he came back for more. Like, no, it's impossible. Then I'll throw him with something else. And he's like, no, no, let's go again, you know, and so forth. And yeah, I grew fond of the teacher, and he's basically been my mentor since I've been in that school. And he found my story also quite inspiring. And he really thought, look, for a small guy, very strong, and he's strong-hearted. And he decided, look, one day I'll write a book
Write a
about
book.
you called Little Giant.
Yes.
And then I thought it was a joke, you know. I thought it was just something that he's saying, you know, just to be nice, or just for fun. And as soon as I started fighting, I needed a nickname, a fight name. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna use that Little Giant name because it sounds quite cool. You know,
Great.
I had different options, but Little Giant just, you know, hit the spot.
Perfect.
And from then on, yeah, and then from then on, I decided, no, I'm gonna use Little Giant as my fight name.
Okay.
And yeah, we decided, crazy enough, a few years into fighting, then he came back to me and it's like, hey, we're still gonna write that book. You know, I'm still interested in writing the story
Story.
of your life, which is quite nice. Yeah.
Fantastic. I was about asking you that. Are you guys still in touch? Which is good to know. You are still in contact with him.
Yes, yeah, he's been my mentor,
Okay.
leadership wise. You know, he's one of the greatest leaders that I've ever met, and you know, just learning from him and getting advice from him has been a blessing in my life.
Awesome. Awesome. Hopefully, when you get a title, it will be a perfect time to put that book together.
Oh yes, hopefully by that
Yes.
time the book is
It'll be
completed.
perfect to put the
Yeah.
whole story together. What's a
Oh yeah,
journey?
it'll be a nice story to tell.
Yes, yes. But have you ever thought of going to the Olympics after the Commonwealth Games, or you just felt like you said, I can't go forward with this. Let me switch. Was Olympic
So
a dream?
even way before that, the goal was to become a world champion at wrestling, and it
Oh,
was to become an Olympic champion. You know, I really had a passion with it, and actually, as a kid, I lacked a lot of confidence, and but my coach, my Russian coach, was the one to to boost my confidence, and the way he coached me and the way he worked with me actually helped me to see that goal, to have that goal in sight. And
okay.
I always told myself I want to be a champion, a world champion while he's alive, so I can show that that part of his work has gotten me to where I am. So it's always been a goal of mine. But as soon as I switched to mixed martial arts, I knew the goal mustn't change. I still want to become a world champion,
Yeah.
and I'm very close to that goal.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I'm just trying to look at some few information here about you. And
Yeah.
so switching to MMA, how has that journey been for you? You went 6-0 as an amateur and then progressed straight to EFC in South Africa, one of the biggest MMA promotion in Africa. So and you went 6-0 before moving
Yes.
to 5-0, right? Before moving to Pancrase in Japan and then moving to
Yeah.
One. So how
Yes.
has that journey been for you, and how was it for you in South Africa in EFC?
Oh yes.
The learning
So
process, the
when I moved
growth.
to
Yeah.
okay, yeah, when I decided to transition to MMA, I knew back then MMA was one of the hardest sports. You learn to do all the martial art
Martial
disciplines,
arts, yes.
wrestling, yes, or BJJ, kickboxing, Muay Thai. So you learn all of that, and it's really hard. You have to put in at least three or more sessions a day. And but not a lot of people are willing to do that. To be honest, when I also started mixed martial arts, I didn't know how much training it will take. But all I knew is that I was gonna try to stick to it because it's that's where I saw myself. You know, I saw myself in the mat and competing as a fighter. And yeah, the first 2 years were very tough. You know, the decision I made was to actually stay at the gym for 2 years.
Okay.
And train out of the gym because I
Full time?
knew. Yes,
Full
yes,
time,
yeah.
wow.
So yes, I literally dropped everything I had, the work I had and everything. And I just decided, okay, I'm gonna give it a chance, you know. And within those 2 years, that's when I became 2 times amateur champion. And from then I basically moved up to as a pro fighter into EFC. And I fought my way up, and just before the title fight, I got an injury. So I was supposed to fight for the title in EFC against one of the top contenders. His name is Zulu Boy, or that time the champion at that time.
Yes.
And yeah, unfortunately, I had an injury, and that had to stop for a while. And after a while,
Was that 2018? You didn't fight for the whole year. I think that's 2018. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And then from then, I actually signed with MTK, one of the mixed martial arts. Yes.
Management.
Yeah. So I signed with them, and they got me into Pancrase in Japan. And I've had my first fight there, and that's when it kind of stood out to the rest of the world. You know, in Africa, they kind of knew me as in EFC.
Yes, within the continent, not globally.
Yes. So I was very well known within the continent, but I was still not known globally. And that first fight in Japan, where I fought in Pancrase, I think that's when my name started exploding. You know, and started being known in the MMA. Okay. And straight from then, I got a contract with One FC, which was like the biggest goal, or that's any African kid's dream, you know, to be either in one of the top promotions, and which is nice now. There's so much more big promotions, but back then it was UFC and One FC, which were
UFC, Bellator, One FC, the top three.
Yes, it was just those three back then, and for me to get into One FC, I knew this was a once in a lifetime opportunity, you know. And
come on, Africans!